Out of these 7 episodes where someone was eliminated for having the lowest count, 6 of those were women who were eliminated. Hi, I'm Craig and welcome to Market Power, where we help you recognize the power of markets and economics to shape our world. So you know how games usually bring out the true character in someone? So one time my family was playing Phase 10 together and we all started ganging up on my mom. Now my mom is this sweet character and you wouldn't expect her to get too competitive during a game, and she didn't during the game. But after we ganged up on her, we went to bed, and in the middle of the night, she came and sprayed whipped cream on us as a form of revenge. Games tend to bring out our true character. And that's one of the reasons that economists love studying games, especially these game shows. So I'm really interested in Netflix's Awake.
Don't sleep. This is Awake.
This is this new game show where you have to keep people awake for 24 hours straight, and then they go and do a series of challenges with an opportunity to win $1 million at the end. Game shows can provide a really fun way to examine economic behavior because we have pretty strict ideas of what people are supposed to be doing and often what the best thing to do is. Like, if you've read Freakonomics, which I've recommended before, it's in the description below if you haven't read it. Steve Levitt, the economist in Freakonomics, studied the weakest link, and he looked at the behavior of players on who they voted out and whether they were discriminating against certain people or not, and he found really interesting discrimination patterns. Well, I want to look at whether the game of Awake is discriminatory or not. I want to go through and collect the data on what people are doing, because the nice thing about Netflix Awake, there's a very defined strategy on what you're supposed to do. During the 24 hours that you are awake, you are supposed to be counting quarters. You don't have the opportunity to write down how many quarters you've done. You can't keep track of it. It's all in your head. And you just count it, and your goal is to get as much as you can in the bin, because that's your opportunity to win. You want to be able to win that money in the end, so you want to get as many quarters in there as you can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the episodes and I'm going to collect the figures from this. I'm gonna figure out how much everybody collected. I'm gonna collect a little bit of information on people, and I wanna test a few hypotheses. And the hypotheses I wanna test are whether there is an effect on time zones and whether there's an advantage by gender. So I just want to show you quickly how I'm collecting this data, because I think this is something that you are interested in. If you are interested in, let me know in the comments below. And if you want to stay updated on these kind of things where I show you how to do the economic analysis for yourself, go ahead and subscribe. But you can see that I have 2 browsers up right now. In one, I've got the show, and in the other, I have the spreadsheet that I'm going to be filling out. In that spreadsheet, I'm going to keep track of the name of the competitor, whether it's a man or a woman. I'm going to keep track of where they're from so I can look at those time zones. And then I'm also going to look at what they guessed and how much they actually collected. So let's go ahead and start collecting that data. I was interested in checking out the effects of gender because there was a very clear pattern that arose as the episodes went on. Out of these 7 episodes where someone was eliminated for having the lowest count, 6 of those were women who were eliminated. And out of those 7 episodes, in 5 of them, a man was the finalist. There was this clear gender division between who was getting eliminated first and who was making it all the way to the final. So I wanted to see if during that 24 hours, if there was a difference in productivity. Okay, I have run into the first problem. I thought that they gave the numbers for every single contestant, and they don't. And so for some reason, they leave out the numbers for some of those contestants, and I have to figure out what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just keep collecting data though, and then we'll figure out some solution. This is a really interesting case for us to test the productivity differences, because in a sense, they're earning a wage, right? Like, their work that they're doing during this 24 hours is the wage that they're earning. There's some productivity and they want to make as much as they can. I'm really excited because I just figured out the solution to this problem of the missing numbers. So the number that's usually missing is the amount collected by the person who got the least, right? So we know that has to be less than whatever the lowest number is for the ones that we do know. And you know, one fix for this is to just put in the lowest number out of all those into that person's. It's not a perfect solution, but it'll at least give us some number there. Okay, so why did I want to look at time zones? Well, there is documented evidence that people do not function as productively as they're moving across time zones. There's a great paper about NBA players when they switch time zones and how that affects their productivity on the court. So I wanted to see, when you move across time zones, does this affect your ability to count the coins, to get as many coins as possible, and how accurate you are? Okay, excited again because I realize another way that we can come at the solution. In each episode, there's the big bank.
Here's the deal. You can take that money that you counted over the past 24 hours, or you can risk it to win the money everyone else counted, which we call the big bank.
So we actually know the total amount of money collected in every episode, and we know what most people collected, and so we can use that data to fill it in. I'm excited. This is good news. So what I did is I just decided to two groups of people. I'm going to look at people in the Pacific time zone, and we have a lot of those because California is where most of these contestants are coming from. And then I looked at people in the Eastern time zone, since they're the ones having to go the farthest in terms of time zones. And once they're there, does that jet lag compound the effect that they're having from staying up 24 hours straight? The time zone results surprised me. So what it turns out is that there's no disadvantage from being on the Eastern Coast and coming to California to tape the show and stay up for 24 hours. Jet lag is having no effect. In fact, it might even be that people in the Eastern time zone are collecting more money than those in the Pacific time zone. The average amount of money collected by people in the Pacific time zone was about $25,300, while as the ones that are from the Eastern time zone, they're collecting $27,800 on average. So this was weird to me. Like, even though they have the jet lag working against them, they're still able to collect more money on average. Now the key is there's not a statistically significant difference between these figures, so it could just be some random noise. But it's clearly the case that it's not the Pacific time zone having an advantage over these people with jet lag. The time zone results are surprising, but there was nothing in the show that really made us think otherwise. But what about the men versus women? Women are usually ending up at the bottom of each episode. Are men better at this than women? What did the data tell us? Well, on average, men are collecting $27,500 and women are collecting $26,700. So the average for men is slightly higher than women, but if we do the statistical analysis, there is no statistically significant difference between these two. It could be that just randomly some of the people did a little bit better and those numbers are dragging it up or dragging it down if some of the people did worse. And so we can't actually say for sure whether these two numbers are different. That's a pretty small margin between the two, $1,000. So what are the biggest threats to this analysis? Well, first, we had that most of the time the lowest number went to a woman and we didn't actually get to know what their amount was. We fixed this by going and filling it in with some other information we had, either the lowest of the numbers that we knew or using the total amount collected to fill these in. But what that's doing is giving a higher number than whatever that person collected because we don't know what the lowest part was. There's no way for us to know the lowest. We're just getting a low approximation of it. So actually that average for women should be lower. Is it low enough to make a difference where there would be a statistically significant difference? I don't think so, because there's this other problem where we only have 8 episodes and 7 players in each episode, so we have 56 observations. But remember, 2 of them go home, so we really only have 54 observations. And so if you split it, the split isn't even, but there's only about like 25 in each group. And there's really not a whole bunch to make a huge statistical analysis on this data. We need more. Now, a second season would allow us to get at this a little better. It would be even better if they gave us all the information, but a second season is going to at least double the amount of observations we have and allow us to do this analysis even better. So if there's a season 2, I'm definitely gonna do more of that. With this season, I might even do more analysis. So if you think there's something I should look at, put a comment below and make sure you subscribe so that way you can stay updated on these analyses and also other videos that allow us to look at the power of markets and economics to shape our world. I really hope to see you on the next episode.